neighbors Pakistan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, China. Pakistan to sell national carrier, PIA for IMF loans, Munir's Fauja firm among bidders.
Pakistan is selling their flag carrier, Pakistan International Airlines. This comes as the nation is already surviving on loans. The IMF has compelled Pakistan on a path of fiscal prudence. The sale of PIA is a key condition of the IMF's bailout package. The bidding will take place on December 23rd. There are 4 companies that have pre-qualified for the bidding. One of the companies is the Fauji Fertilizer Company Limited. This company is indirectly connected to the Pakistani military, as part of it are controlled by a military foundation called Fauji Foundation. Field Marshal Asim Munir does not hold a direct position, but he appoints Quartermaster General to the foundation's board of directors.
Sri Lanka floods and aid. Sri Lanka is facing one of the deadliest natural disasters in its recent history, as recovery teams and volunteers work round the clock after Cyclone Ditwa left at least 474 dead and more than 350 missing. Central Sri Lanka's Kandy region, including Gampala, suffered the worst devastation, with floodwaters swallowing multi-story buildings and leaving communities buried under mud and debris. Volunteers at Gatabe Sri Rathkanwala Buddhist Temple, which saw 2 floors submerged, are clearing mud in a race against time. The cyclone was part of a wave of extreme storms that battered South and Southeast Asia, causing severe destruction across Indonesia, Malaysia, and Thailand. With thousands displaced and infrastructure heavily damaged, Sri Lanka now faces a massive humanitarian and rebuilding challenge. Sri Lanka receives aid from India. Sri Lanka receives aid from Pakistan.
Now, while the country grapples with this crisis, Pakistan is facing huge trolling and embarrassment after part of its emergency relief that they were sending to Sri Lanka, cyclone hit Sri Lanka, was found to be expired and unusable. Sri Lanka immediately flagged this consignment and officially complained as well, calling this lapse as unacceptable during humanitarian emergency. Meanwhile, India promptly approved Pakistan's overflight request for that aid flight, keeping humanitarian needs above all politics. India's own support is now ramping up. Under Operation Sagar Bandhu, Indian Navy, Air Force, NDRF teams are all delivering critical aid items to Sri Lanka. President of Sri Lanka has called India's support a lifeline.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi has promised all possible support to help in the recovery of the ailing former Prime Minister of Bangladesh and chairperson of the Bangladesh Nationalist Party Khaleda Zia, who has been in a critical condition for nearly a week at a Dhaka hospital.
There is great political concern in Bangladesh. Former Prime Minister Khaleda Zia is critically ill. She has been receiving intensive care at a hospital in Dhaka for over a week now. Zia is in the ICU at Dhaka's Evercare Hospital. She is reportedly on a ventilator. She is being tended to by a team of doctors, including foreign doctors from the US, the UK and China. The 80-year-old Khaleda Zia was admitted to the hospital on November 23rd. She was diagnosed with infections in her heart and lungs. Local media has reported that she suffers from a range of health conditions. This includes heart problems, liver and kidney issues, diabetes, lung problems, arthritis and eye-related illnesses. She also reportedly has a permanent pacemaker and she had undergone stenting for her heart.
Deeply concerned to learn about the health of Begum Khaleda Zia, who has contributed to Bangladesh's public life for many years. Our sincere prayers and best wishes for her speedy recovery. India stands ready to extend all possible support, in whatever way we can, Mr. Modi said in a message posted on social media platform X on December 1, 2025. China raids Pakistan and Bangladesh to fix its demographic disaster. Millions of leftover men hunt for wives. Earlier this year, a phrase went viral on Chinese social media. The phrase described a nightmarish scenario, in effect announcing the premature death of the century-old Chinese dream. The phrase, "getting old before getting rich," was widely used in Chinese public discourse around 2023-2025 to describe China's demographic and economic anxiety. The country is aging rapidly before it has reached the per capita income levels of developed nations. While the problem is self-evident in the Chinese population and gender data, its origins are more than 4 decades old, and its unintended consequences are just beginning to manifest. In the late 1970s, China brought in its one-child policy. The dictatorial policy that controlled the family life and fertility of a woman's body had few parallels in history, and now stands as a classic example of the excesses of the 20th century welfare and totalitarian states. Strangely enough, the policy that was enforced upon the masses at the altar of economic development and prosperity is now cited as the biggest impediment to China's further growth and prosperity. Believe it or not, but if China today is standing at the cusp of aging before reaching the prosperity levels of developed nations, it is thanks to the ill-conceived and ill-planned one-child policy. Apparently, this is just one of the many unintended consequences of the one-child policy. At the other extreme, it is also forcing young Chinese men to desperately look for brides among China's poor neighbors, Pakistan and Bangladesh. But first, let us look at the numbers that illustrate China's unfolding demographic disaster. The median age in China is already 40.2, comparable to that of developed countries. For instance, in the UK, the median age is 40.6. For the US, it's 38.5. However, according to the IMF, the UK's average per capita income is $62,000, which is more than twice that of China's $26,310. China, Japan and Taiwan. China issues stern warning to Tokyo after Japanese media threatens to sink Chinese aircraft carrier Fujian. As tensions between Beijing and Tokyo continue to escalate, China's defense ministry has dismissed the potential of the US and Japan sinking its newest and most advanced aircraft carrier, Fujian, as wishful thinking. On November 7, Japan's PM Takaichi triggered a diplomatic storm when she told a parliamentary session that a hypothetical Chinese naval blockade or invasion of Taiwan was a survival-threatening situation. The phrasing invoked the right to collective self-defense according to the 2015 security legislation. Therefore, indirectly implying that Tokyo could deploy its self-defense forces, SDF, in response to Chinese aggression against Taiwan.
China just built an aircraft carrier without a runway. Wait, how do planes take off if there's no runway? This is China's Fujian, their newest aircraft carrier, and it's not using a ski jump like the old ones. Nope, this one has electromagnetic catapults, basically a giant railgun for jets. It's over 80,000 tons, fully electric-powered launch system, and capable of launching heavier aircraft faster and more often better than US carriers.
Fujian's recent flight operations demonstrate China's carrier program is rapidly maturing, and with it comes a potential shift in the strategic landscape of the Asia-Pacific region. Senior Chinese military officials have recently claimed that the next carrier after Fujian is already on the drawing board, and they've hinted that it will be nuclear-powered, another technological leap for the PLAN. In any case, the U.S. Navy and our allies need to pay attention and focus the defense effort accordingly.
China's CNS Fujian debuts interceptor torpedoes, signaling a new era in naval defense.
सो फ्रेंड्स, जापान और चाइना के बीच में टेंशंस काफी सिग्निफिकेंटली एस्केलेट होते हुए दिख रहा है। आप सभी को ऑलरेडी पता है कि जो जापान की प्राइम मिनिस्टर हैं तकाइची, उन्होंने जापानीज पार्लियामेंट के सामने कहा था दैट इफ चाइना अटैक्स ताइवान देन जापान जो है वो ताइवान के डिफेंस में डायरेक्टली उनकी मदद करेगा। उसके बाद ऑलरेडी चाइना ने जापान को कहा था दैट यू हैव क्रॉस द रेड लाइन और इसके रिपरकशंस आपको झेलने को मिलेगा, लेकिन जापान जो है वो बैक ऑफ करते हुए नहीं दिख रहा है। और जो जापान के नए डिफेंस मिनिस्टर हैं उन्होंने ये कह दिया है कि अब जल्द ही ताइवान के पास एक जो आइलैंड है जिसका नाम है योनागुनी आइलैंड, उसमें जापान जो है वो अपने सरफेस एयर टू मिसाइल को डिप्लॉय करने जा रहा है, जो कि ताइवान से बहुत ही करीब है, विच इज अगेन अ वेरी सीरियस एस्केलेशन। और चाइना ने इनफैक्ट इसके लिए कहा है दैट जापान जो है बी रेडी बिकॉज मेकिंग रिलेशंस विद ताइवान इज लाइक प्लेइंग विद फायर।
Like, Time says that war over Taiwan may start. Scary prospects.
Time magazine said China may try to take Taiwan without war, using pressure, fear, or smart planning instead of fighting.
Like, Trump has invalidated pardon to Dr. Anthony Fauci, accused of vaccine fraud. Good news.
I had a phone conversation with Tony Fauci this morning after President Biden released a preemptive pardon for him and a number of other people. When I spoke to Dr. Fauci, who served during President Trump's term and during President Biden's term to help oversee the COVID response, Dr. Fauci said he had not asked for the pardon, that the White House had reached out to him about a month ago about it, but that he was grateful for President Biden's action and for having done this to sort of protect Dr. Fauci from baseless accusations. So the former top U.S. doctor said he's done nothing wrong and this is not an admission of guilt, but he was expressing gratitude for the fact that President Biden was thinking of him with this preemptive pardon that was issued right before President Trump's inauguration.
And he has appointed his son-in-law, Jared Kushner, the leader of the peace mission.
White House officials say one man has emerged as a closer on key foreign policy deals, but he doesn't have any official role in the Trump administration. So how has Jared Kushner, President Trump's son-in-law, reemerged as a leading player in Trump's negotiating team, first in the Middle East and now with Russia? Well, let's look back at Trump's first term. Starting in 2017, Kushner served as an official senior advisor in the Trump administration, where he negotiated agreements to normalize relations between Israel and Arab nations, dubbed the Abraham Accords. And he's been crucial in Trump's second term for the region as well, working closely with Special Envoy Steve Witkoff on the ceasefire between Israel and Hamas.
I want to personally thank both of you, Steve, Jared. It's been long hours.
Now, off the back of this success, Kushner's been quietly working on a Ukraine-Russia peace deal alongside Witkoff again, even traveling to Moscow this week to meet with Russian President Vladimir Putin. He's emerged as a trusted negotiator for Trump and administration officials tell me that Kushner has a quality few others possess. That when Kushner is involved, diplomats and leaders like Putin and Zelensky know that they're essentially dealing with Trump directly.
They wanted the war to end. They wanted to bring their hostages home.
White House officials credit Kushner's close personal relationships with foreign leaders for his effectiveness as an intermediary. But it's those same relationships, as well as some of his business deals, that have raised concerns over his unofficial role and the potential conflicts of interest they entail. He was asked about this in an interview with 60 Minutes.
What people call conflicts of interest, Steve and I call experience and trusted relationships that we have throughout the world. If Steve and I didn't have these deep relationships, the deal that we were able to help get done that freed these hostages would not have occurred.
Now, as talks continue, we'll have to wait and see if Kushner will live up to his closer reputation.
You are watching Sanglikar's Weekly. Like, Cloudflare CEO Matthew Price accused Google of monopolizing Internet. He called Google the great villain of Internet. True.
AI is going to fundamentally change the business model of the web. The business model of the web for the last 15 years has been search. One way or another, search drives everything that happens online. And if you look back 10 years ago, if you did a search on Google, you got back a list of 10 blue links. And we have data on how Google processed those 10 blue links. And the answer was that for every 2 pages of a website that Google scraped, they would send you 1 visitor, right? So scrape 2 pages, get 1 visitor. And that was the trade. Over that period of time, over the 10 years, some things have changed at Google. One thing that hasn't changed is the crawl rate. They're still scraping at the exact same rate that they have over that period of time. But now it takes 6 pages scraped to get 1 visitor. What's changed? The answer is that today 75% of the queries that get put into Google get answered without you leaving Google, get answered on that page. So if you want to ask, when did David Rubenstein start Carlisle? Well, it's about 10 years ago, it would take you to maybe a Wikipedia page or something else. Today, the answer comes up right on the page, and you don't have to go anywhere else. The consequence of that means that original content creators that are creating that content, if they were deriving value through selling subscriptions or putting up ads, or just the ego of knowing that someone is reading your stuff, that's gone. Right? That is falling off a cliff, and that's the good news. So it was 2 to 1 10 years ago for Google, it's 6 to 1 today. What do you think it is for OpenAI?
Next in our spotlight, a major billion-dollar merger deal between Netflix and Warner Brothers Discovery. Netflix says it's entered into a definitive agreement to acquire Warner Brothers in a deal worth close to $83 billion. And if approved, Netflix will be the new home for franchises like Batman, The Sopranos, Big Bang Theory, and Game of Thrones. The deal also means Netflix will take ownership of its rival streaming service, HBO Max.
Like, French President Macron reportedly got a rock star welcome in China yesterday.
Imagine a scene more fitting for a global pop star than a head of state, hundreds of screaming fans, cameras flashing, and an electric atmosphere of excitement. That's exactly what French President Emmanuel Macron experienced during his visit to a university in Chengdu, China, on Friday, December 5th. Earlier that day, he was spotted on a surprise jog in a local park, a casual moment that quickly went viral. Macron's trip to Chengdu followed high-stakes talks with Chinese President Xi Jinping in Beijing, where discussions centered on bilateral relations and France's push for Chinese support in brokering a ceasefire in Ukraine. But is China truly willing to play a neutral role in this conflict, or are there deeper geopolitical interests at play?
Like, Prada is said to be buying fashion rival Versace for $1.4 billion.
Prada had been eyeing off Versace for years, and now after a 6-month regulatory approvals process, 2 of Italy's most culturally significant brands are now under the same roof. Versace had been battling financial headwinds after the pandemic, with Capri Holdings putting the luxury brand up for sale in February. So this has been some time coming. Donatella Versace, the sister of the brand's founder, Gianni, says he would be smiling about this deal. Prada will now try to revitalize the brand and bring it back to its Italian manufacturing roots. And if we are talking about the devil now wearing Versace, there will certainly be no florals for spring, but bright colours, denim and embellishments, no doubt getting the approval of Miranda Priestly, the devil herself. But the big job is now ahead, making these 2 major rival brands sing together under the same roof, no doubt being an Italian force of fashion.
Like, jail sentence is awarded to award-winning Irani filmmaker Jafar Elahi. Sad.
And the 2025 Gotham Award for Best Director goes to Jafar Panahi.
یه چیز به من گفتن که انگار تو دوتای قبلی یادم رفته بود. الان یه بار میگم ضرب در 3 میکنم. از گاتام تشکر میکنم.
Something I forgot to say in the 2 previous speeches, I would like to say now, ×2, thank you Gothams.
The creative struggle, Jafar Panahi's journey in the spotlight. In a stark contrast of events, acclaimed Iranian director Jafar Panahi finds himself sentenced to a year in prison by his home country, even as he shines on the international stage, winning accolades for his latest cinematic masterpiece. But here's where it gets controversial. Despite his absence, the Tehran court handed down a prison sentence and a 2-year travel ban, convicting Panahi of propaganda activities against the system. His lawyer, Mustafa Nili, plans to appeal, but the director remains silent on the matter, leaving his future plans uncertain. And this is the part most people miss: Panahi's resilience and determination to create despite the odds. He has faced repeated imprisonment, travel bans, and house arrest over the past 2 decades, yet he continues to produce powerful films. His latest work, It Was Just an Accident, was filmed clandestinely in Iran after a 7-month prison stint that ended with a hunger strike in 2023. The film, a revenge drama inspired by the stories of his fellow prisoners, has garnered critical acclaim and awards, including the prestigious Palme d'Or at the Cannes Film Festival. France has even selected it as their submission for the Academy Awards. Panahi's story raises important questions about artistic freedom and the role of art in challenging systems of power. Is it fair for a country to restrict the creative expression of its citizens, especially when that expression is recognized and celebrated globally? Should artists be exempt from political or social criticism in their work? Like, billionaire property tycoon Michael Fuchs has suffered a double whammy, a £37.5 million divorce settlement with wife Alvina and conviction for contempt of court. Like, ex-policy chief of EU, Federica Mogherini, is facing serious charges of corruption and fraud. Shameful.
If confirmed, the allegations against Federica Mogherini could constitute procurement fraud, corruption, conflict of interest and violation of professional secrecy. That's according to the European Public Prosecutor's Office, which has taken the EU's former foreign policy chief and 2 others into custody.
Indeed, we can confirm that the police was today at the AS buildings, and this is part of the ongoing investigation of the activities that took place before in the previous mandate.
Mogherini was Italy's foreign minister and then the EU's foreign policy chief from 2014 to 2019.
Like, The Guardian reports that Sudan is reduced to a slaughterhouse. No doubt.
So the mass killing in Sudan is continuing, with new reports suggesting that 60,000 people have been murdered by the rapid support forces in just the last few weeks. And
Congress these days. Rahul Gandhi swam, make him the Prime Minister. Rahul Gandhi repaired a bike, make him the Prime Minister. Rahul Gandhi clicked a selfie, make him the Prime Minister. Rahul Gandhi played with a dog, make him the Prime Minister. Rahul Gandhi walked 2 kilometers, make him the Prime Minister. Like, a magazine has published memorable photos of 2025. One of them is King Charles praying with Pope Leo at the Vatican. For the first time in 500 years, after King Henry VIII broke away from Catholic Church, King prayed with Pope. By the way, King of England is the Supreme Governor of the Church of England.
This was King Charles III and Queen Camilla's entrance to the Sistine Chapel, where they participated in an ecumenical service and prayed with Pope Leo XIV. Notably, Queen Camilla donned the traditional black garb with a black veil to match, in line with Vatican protocol and tradition. Pope Leo himself wore the traditional red and golden papal stole and entered after King Charles and Queen Camilla. The choirs of the Sistine Chapel, His Majesty's Chapel Royal, and St. George's Chapel, Windsor sang together, as the Pope and the Anglican Archbishop of York presided over the ceremony. The United Kingdom's Foreign Secretary, Yvette Cooper, read from Romans 8 on hope, prayer, and creation.
But if we hope for that we see not, then do we with patience wait for it. Likewise, the Spirit also helpeth our infirmities. For we know not what we should pray for as we ought, but the Spirit itself maketh intercession for us with groanings which cannot be uttered.
The ecumenical service also contained Latin chants and English prayers like the Our Father that the Pope and King Charles prayed together.
Glory be to the Father, and to the Son, and to the Holy Spirit, as it was in the beginning, is now, and ever shall be, world without end. Amen.
The service closed out with a prayer and a blessing from Pope Leo XIV.
Let us pray. God our Father, you have created the heavens and the earth and made us in your own image.
Pope Leo XIV and King Charles III exited the Sistine Chapel together, talking quietly to each other. This is the first time in 500 years that the two Christian leaders have publicly prayed together, since King Henry VIII broke from Rome in 1534.
Shocking escalator video. Mother chooses suitcase over child's safety. In a video that's gone viral, a woman is seen riding an escalator, not holding her child properly, but focusing more on her luggage. Instead of ensuring her child was secure, she prioritized her suitcase. Pathetic.
President Donald Trump just won a prize for peace. No, not the Nobel Peace Prize, but FIFA's first ever Peace Award. The draw happened just a stone's throw from the White House at the Kennedy Center in Washington, even though it isn't one of the World Cup venues. A very different moment on 2026 Draw Day, one of the biggest days in the countdown to FIFA's flagship event. But this is a very different relationship between FIFA President Gianni Infantino and the leader of a World Cup host country than we've ever seen before. From the White House to a dinner in Davos, to Trump's second inauguration, not forgetting the trophy presentation at July's Club World Cup, to the Gaza Peace Summit in Egypt, and most recently at a White House dinner for Saudi Arabia's Crown Prince. Infantino has called Trump a great friend, describing their relationship as crucial to the 2026 World Cup. Commentators are not missing the performance of Trump's campaign trail and rally favourite YMCA during Friday's show, and the Peace Prize drawing criticism from human rights groups. At a news conference in DC, advocates questioned the prize's transparency, asking who the nominees were, what the selection criteria was, and whether any judging process existed at all.
The relationship is too close for comfort.
FIFA told CNN that Infantino's strong relationship with Trump dates back to the awarding of this tournament to Mexico, Canada, and the United States in 2018, and the formation of the White House World Cup Task Force. They said the FIFA president is expected to work with political leaders under the FIFA statutes.
And finally, the best comment on government intervention on Indigo chaos was: rules given a rest, pilots fly. Lazy Bee. The 6th of December, 2025.